Hi Taurus, and welcome to your reading for March 2019. Welcome to the astrological new year. My name is Melanie. Let's just dive right in. So 5 cards that you have there. The ones that came out for you guys, the first card representing the past energy, a past situation that may be relevant this month, the Judgment card. The second card representing this month, current issues, current situation that may show up for the month of March for Taurus, the Fool. The third card representing possible obstacles this month, the Four of Coins, otherwise known as the Four of Pentacles. The fifth card being about possible helpful tools this month for you guys, the Devil card. And the fifth card representing the outcome for the month is the Knight of Coins, otherwise known as the Knight of Pentacles. And the final card there, which is more like an oracle card, and I'll be reading about that card later on. And that's about the overall theme for the month. And that card is called Cicada, and that is about transformation. So let's just dive right in, but just be mindful that this is a general reading, so it may or may not resonate with you, and it may apply for Taurus sun sign, moon sign, or rising sign. So starting with the Judgment card in the past position, the Judgment card is about sort of rebirth. It's about renewal. Judgment itself can be about sudden realization, a resolution, a cathartic climax of something, a new change being heralded, coming to life, something being brought to life from the ashes, like the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's a call to a new life, and so this makes me wonder if something in the past, whether recently or in the distant past, happened that kind of ended things in some way, or killed things in some way, or there was a death of something that had to happen. There was a process around that, a process of feeling judged, or a judgment was made about something where you felt, or whether you wanted to or not, something happened perhaps beyond your control. This could also be about a legal issue or court matters. And that, you know, everything is seen on Judgment Day, and that you've had to rise from the ashes in some way, which is a good thing, even though at the time, of course, it may feel very harsh, very sad, very stressful, and you've kind of gone through a process of retribution, of rehabilitation, of sort of recreation in some area of your life or on some issue. Things have had to go through this process of sort of death and rebirth, things coming to light, everything being seen and known, as it is on sort of Judgment Day, a real wake-up call. So let's just keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the reading relating to this month, and just see if that ties in somehow. But that there's been some issue there in the past that you've had to sort of really work through and come back from. Moving into the present, the Fool card comes up as the main sort of energy for this month, current issue, current situation. The Fool card, which is a beautiful new card. It's the very first card of the major arcana. First card in that it's actually 0. So we have 0, and then we have 1, and 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. The Fool is the start of a journey. The Fool has this kind of youthful, free-flowing energy of like, the world is my oyster. I'm going out. I have, as you can see in the picture of that card, I have basically a stick, a dog, a little sack, and woohoo, out I go. You know, it's real innocence and naivety about this card, of having courage, of wanting to travel light, with lots of energy. You know, everything is new and shiny, and I just want to go out there and experience the world, you know, and anything's possible. It's that real feeling of you know, youthful, wide-eyed abandon, and being very spontaneous and carefree and excited of what the world can offer you, what potential is out there, having this real youthful optimism and childlike wonder, because you're following your heart and following your curiosity and having faith in where life takes you, where the universe takes you. This card can be a reminder not to take life too seriously, to get back in touch with that kind of feeling that we probably all had and hopefully still have, of like, wow, the world is still really exciting and cool, and there's lots of new stuff out there I can try, lots of random things. Sometimes this card too can be a bit of a reminder not to be too trusting in things, just to be mindful that you have to still take care of certain aspects of yourself or your life. Maybe you've been needing to take a break in some way, or sort of change tack in some way, and bring in this kind of fresh energy, and that is presenting itself this month as you're maybe you've come, having come from that place with the Judgment card of really going through some tough stuff and a rebirth of sorts, and now feeling like, right, that's it, I'm ready. I just want to go out there, try something brand new, do something new, do something adventurous, throw caution to the wind. And so here you are with this lovely energy, I think, coming into March. Moving on from that, possible obstacles, though, that may show up this month. And that is the Four of Coins card, or the Four of Pentacles. Very different energy. This card, you've got 2 coins cards here, just note that, and 3 major arcana cards. I think that's relevant. Probably quite a big month in that regard, because these are kind of significant major arcana cards too. The Fool, like I said, the very first card of the major arcana, and then you have Judgment, I think, which is a significant heavy kind of card of sort of intense internal processes and quite probably external events happening to you. And then the Devil card too, which we'll get to after this Four of Coins. Four of Coins is about coins, or pentacles are about earthly kind of energies, practical matters, usually finances, money, career, jobs, things that we can touch, see, smell, taste, real possessions. The Four of Coins is a card of wanting to conserve your money, your possessions, wanting to have control over that kind of stuff, holding on tightly to what you have accumulated and acquired, perhaps a little bit too much, being a little too miserly with things, because perhaps you're quite anxious or worried or fearful that you're going to lose some stuff. Maybe that is tied into that Judgment card in the past, that there was a loss of some sort, or some sort of process that you went through. Maybe there was around a job or some money or finances, and now you're in a secure position, but you're really wanting to protect that. It's a card of status, that there is some status and some wealth around you, but you've had some good success, but you're fearful of losing that, and you're really holding on to that very tightly out of fear, and wanting to protect yourself materially in some way, or in some sort of solid, grounded issue, and you're sort of focusing on everything that you do have, and a bit obsessed with what you don't, and not wanting to lose stuff. It's just so, in that, given the card represents these things, it's cautioning you as an obstacle card not to be too guarded in that sense, not to be too controlling, to hold things too tightly, because you're going to squeeze the life out of it, essentially. You're going to and maybe cut off and create walls when there doesn't need to be any, because you're in a state of perhaps a bit of fear and paranoia, probably based on something real that did happen in the past. And I think that's very, sometimes it's very hard to get past that and through that, and we become very fearful of not having a situation happen to us again, and then we go right the other extreme. So is an obstacle this month just to be very wary about not clinging to things too tightly. Are you being a bit selfish? Are you not actually just relaxing into the success and the things that you have managed to achieve and accumulate right now? Interestingly, the next card in the position of possible helpful tools, you have the Devil card, which I think is fascinating in that it's shown up in a helpful position, because the connotations with this card generally are negative, but bearing in mind that no card of the tarot is inherently good or inherently bad. There's positives and negatives of each card. So traditionally the devil card means addictions, bondage, enslavement, obsessions, materialism, sexuality, magic, mystery, deadly sins, vices, all these kinds of, it can mean violence and fatality. So really heavy, toxic kind of stuff that comes along with the animalistic nature, that kind of base nature of being run purely on instincts such as lust and greed, the 7 deadly sins. The devil rules over the material world, the pentacles as well. So, I'm really starting to wonder if there has been an issue to do with your material well-being in the past, and there was a process of judgment. Maybe there was some legal or court stuff, or the threat of something, the threat of losing your home or losing a job, losing savings, losing, I don't know, what are they called, shares, stocks, all that kind of thing, stuff that you've worked very hard for over the years. Maybe there was some stress, some very significant stress around that. You've come through that, you have this bright new energy about things, but you're also clinging to things quite intensely. The devil card then in the position of what may be helpful. I think this is just saying to you to address your problems head on so that you can free yourself. In this card there's 2 little people there, as you can see, that are sort of, they're not chains around their necks, I don't know what they are. In other cards they look like chains, but they're sort of ropes around their neck and their hands are behind their back. But they can actually choose to take those chains or that rope off should they choose. Should you be willing to look at yourself, to look at the dark side of yourself, the shadow side of yourself, make a choice to have a different relationship with that side of ourselves. It can be seen as a warning card, which I think can be helpful. A warning can be very helpful, to be mindful of not being too indulgent in material things, to not get too addicted to things. And maybe you are a little bit addicted right now to clinging to what you have right now and not sharing things, or not wanting to let other people in because you're very paranoid, maybe obsessed with what may happen about that. We all have a shadow and a dark side, every single one of us, and we can deny that, and that's when things get toxic, that's when things get pathological, that's when things get really fucked up, basically. The key to the dark side, I think, is not dark side as in Star Wars, but dark side within us, is to embrace it in a way, in that we acknowledge it, we listen to it, we accept that it's there for a reason within all of us. We are whole beings with light and dark, good and bad, masculine, feminine, shall we say. And that to be whole, we have to not just acknowledge all our good stuff, but acknowledge our bad stuff, our problems, our vices, our addictions, our obsessions, and to sort of welcome them in an accepting way, because the more we deny these things and try to suppress them, the more control they have over us. And that's when an addiction becomes an addiction, because we're essentially handing over our power. So I think I'm encouraging you to reflect on, well, what are those sides of myself? Why are they there? What messages are they communicating? How can I just sort of integrate them so that they don't run the show? That I just let them sit in the corner. They might want to come along for the ride, but I ultimately have control over them. I have a different relationship to that dark side of myself, to be a bit more open-minded about these aspects of ourselves, and to therefore free yourself a bit more from it. So I'm hoping that those messages, that will be helpful for you in this month, to be just mindful of that devil side within us. Think about 2 phrases that use the devil. Devil is in the detail. It's better the devil you know. I'm thinking if anything like that pops up this month, you hear people talk about devil, demon, demons, the deadly sins, hell, you know, all that kind of stuff, to really listen out to that and go, you know, what is that person saying? Maybe there's a message in there for me. Welcome in your demons. They are just as they have a right to be there as much as the angels in our lives. We just want to have a good relationship with them. And finally, in the outcome position, Taurus, you have the Knight of Coins, otherwise known as the Knight of Pentacles. Here we are again with another Pentacles card. This card is about efficiency, routine, methodical, persevering, you know, responsibility, patience, conservatism. Here we have another kind of conservative card. I would say the Four of Coins card is conservative as well. It's a card of being hardworking, finishing a task, being reliable, doing what's necessary, profit, interest, doing whatever it takes to reach a goal. It does suggest financial blessings and professional movement. It symbolises the coming and going of an important matter or important matters to do with money and finances. Can be about making something new from things that already exist, structures that already exist, and essentially being willing to work hard for something and having a belief that something doesn't come from nothing, that you must work for it. So this is a very slow, steady, focused energy of something coming your way, being offered to you, I think financially or in a business sense or in a work sense, that is building a good foundation. You know, it's not a fast-moving energy like the wands say, very quick, very fiery. No, this is pentacles, coins, this is earth, this is solid, grounded, slow, progressive movement in a good direction. Slow is in I'm doing the hard work, I'm following a routine, there's a lot of structure, I'm persevering. This card is quite a protective card. You know, the Knight is quite protective of things and offers assistance with loyalty, with duty, with a lot of trust. So I think the outcome is that, which is a really positive outcome, given that there's some tricky cards earlier with the Devil, with the Four of Coins card, and whatever has happened there in the past around judgment. There's kind of this nice solid ending to things, hopefully by the end of this month, or weaving its way into this month after coming through some bumpy, a little bit of a bumpy road there. I think more internally within you around some external solid things like money, like work or business, and that you come to a more solid place within yourself and start learning to trust again. Trust the external environment around you, and therefore trust yourself, and as a result of that, there's some financial blessings that come your way. Now I'm going to move on to reading from this beautiful booklet here, the Dreamtime Reading Cards booklet. Dreamtime is the Aboriginal Australian spiritual belief system, and I love these cards. I use them as oracle cards. And this card, I pull a card from this deck to represent the overall theme for the month. So this is for Taurus, for March. The card that came out for you guys is Cicada, and that represents transformation. So of all the insects that go through major transformations, the cicada is one that spends the longest time in its chrysalis form. The cicada remains underground in its shell for many years before it crawls out, under the protection of the moon, to shed its hard casing and let its wings burst out for the first time, giving it the gifts of flight and freedom. That actually reminds me of the Fool card. Cicadas are a common sight and sound of the summer. As the weather heats up, these small insects make their way out of the ground and up into plants and trees. There they are surrounded by their kin, mating, singing and communicating. The cicada's message is one of transformation. It asks you to trust in your own personal growth. You are always growing and changing. However, you may be experiencing a time of stagnation where you are struggling to find your path or purpose. There may be external factors that seem to be pushing you in directions you are not ready for. Now is the time to find your voice, speak your truth, and let your heart song be heard. Let yourself discard the shell that no longer fits and allows yourself to be and allow yourself to be unlimited, free to be who it is you are always meant to be. That really does remind me of the Fool card. And I think when it's talking about those external factors, I think that's possibly related to the Devil card there and the Four of Coins. These things that have happened to you or around you have kind of warped things inside you, rightly so, naturally so. I think it's a very normal process. When shit happens to us, we suddenly go, we kind of freeze up or block off or cut off, do kind of crazy things that aren't essentially us. I think there's a card to remind us to get back to who you are, to work through, process some of that fear and maybe some of the trauma that has happened in the past around that judgment process that you had to go through. That's pretty tough, challenging stuff. And you're coming in with the full energy, and that's beautiful. You've just kind of got to untangle yourself a bit from some of the past that may be influencing you today, this month, in keeping you very tightly controlled and still potentially been enslaved to some of the fears that you've had in the past. To just breathe around that, to open up around that, to look at the good and the bad, the devil and the angels, and balance that out more steadily. And then in will come more of a steady, grounded energy and some good stuff coming your way. So, on that note, Taurus, thank you so much for watching and listening to this reading. I'm very appreciative. If you like it, you know what to do. And hopefully I'll see you guys back in April.